undisputed UFC heavyweight champion of the world,
heavyweight champion! Heavyweight champion! Complete, total domination!
Heavyweight division, traditionally the biggest draws in the sport, whether it's boxing or MMA. The biggest stars like Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, Fedor Emelianenko, Cain Velasquez, Stipe Miocic, Daniel Cormier. However, a couple of years ago, it seemed as though there was a lack of fresh contenders for the title of the baddest man on the planet. Now that is definitely not the case, as the heavyweights is packed with exciting matchups where you really don't know who will come out on top. The resurgence of the heavyweight division is a very interesting topic, and we here at Athlete Central are here to discuss how heavyweights went from being one of the dullest divisions in the UFC to one of the most exciting. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Only 2 to 3 years ago in 2019, it seemed as though the heavyweight division had no life. The general consensus was that Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier were at the top of the heavyweight ladder. Then came Francis Ngannou, who was better than the rest of the heavyweights.
It's over. Rosenstrike is out!
And then Curtis Blaydes, whose wrestling prowess made him better than the rest of the heavyweights not named Stipe, DC, or Francis.
Is in white, early single leg for Blaydes.
The rest of the division was pretty stale. A lot of the high-end fighters were on the tail end of their careers. Junior Dos Santos was 36 and ranked 4th. Alistair Overeem, Cain Velasquez, Shamil Abdurakhimov, and Alexei Olenek were all over 37 and considered contenders. Now we are aware that Shamil is still ranked, but his recent losing streak means that another loss would probably see him thrown out of the rankings.
Knocked his opponent out in this fight. Boom! Right hand!
No one seemed like a threat to the top of the division. And as time went on and Stipe had his trilogy with Daniel Cormier, fighters like Curtis Blaydes and Derek Lewis were knocking off the contenders that were trying to climb the ladder.
On each other's radar.
Blaydes had losses to Ngannou and Lewis lost to Daniel Cormier in his title shot.
And still!
So was the veteran Alistair Overeem, beating the likes of Sergey Pavlovich, Walt Harris, and Augusto Sakai. Everyone that entered the top 10 had to go through him, but they just couldn't. The one man that seemed to spark a light in the division was Surinamese kickboxer Jairzinho Rozenstruik, who was put to the test against Overeem when he was 9-0. Even when he beat Overeem, it was not convincing up the fight with 4 seconds left in the round. Many protested the stoppage and thought it was early, but Rozenstruik took the W nonetheless. Rozenstruik would go on to lose to Francis Ngannou, Curtis Blaydes, and the man that we are going to talk about next,
Ciryl Gane.
The most accomplished of the fighters in this heavyweight resurgence is undoubtedly Ciryl "Bone Gane" Gane. He entered the UFC with a record of 3-0, but in his debut against 9-0 Rafael Pessoa, he was a heavy -450 favorite. Gane shocked everyone because even though he came from a Muay Thai and kickboxing background, he secured an arm triangle choke in the first round, displaying a very well-rounded game. He did the same in his next fight against Don'Tale Mayes, securing a heel hook submission win with a minute left in the fight. Gane then faced Canadian Tanner Boser, a heavyweight that really moves like a middleweight. His footwork is great, but not better than Gane's. Numerous MMA experts like Joe Rogan have described Gane as having the movement of a middleweight or welterweight, the way he bounces on his toes and does not stay like a lot of other heavyweights. Gane put on another great performance, but did not get the finish this time, securing a unanimous decision victory. After this 3-fight UFC win streak, the hype train behind Gane was really underway. He was matched up against Junior Dos Santos and secured the knockout in the second round after landing some nice elbows. Bone Gane was now straight into the top 10 of the heavyweight division and was matched up against the aforementioned Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Gane put on a master class against him and got a clean sweep 50-45 unanimous decision victory. Even though the fight was a bit tame and not everyone's cup of tea, Gane still proved that he is truly elite. The next fight against Russian Alexander Volkov was more of the same. The only round that could arguably be given to Volkov was the first. Gane put it on the Russian, and even though, yet again, it wasn't the most exciting performance, it earned Gane an interim title shot against Derek Lewis. There was officially some new blood in the division. There was a bona fide contender. Gane delivered spectacularly on the biggest stage of his career. Lewis almost landed nothing throughout the duration of the fight, and Gane eventually got the TKO win in the third round. Gane's most recent fight was the only loss in his career against former teammate Francis Ngannou, where Francis beat him via unanimous decision. Gane did win the first 2 rounds, but Ngannou came back strong. This loss does not mean that Gane is not a threat in the division. He absolutely is. He just has to work a bit on his takedown defense. There are many intriguing matchups for him like Stipe Miocic and Curtis Blades, in order to test if he can beat the old guard of the division. Another new prospect is Tom Aspinall, who has 5 wins and 5 finishes in the UFC, 3 being KOs and 2 submissions, showing that he is very well-rounded, just like Gane. Aspinall's first 2 wins took less than 2.5 minutes collectively, and both ended via TKO against Jake Collier and Alan Baudou. His first real test was UFC legend Andrei Arlovski, and after a few exchanges on the feet, Aspinall showed his wrestling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to secure the rear naked choke finish in the second round, earning a ranking in the heavyweight division in the process. He then showed that he isn't afraid of anyone's strengths against Sergey Spivak, the heavyweight notorious for his grappling. Tom ended the fight in just 2.5 minutes after strikes on the ground. His last fight was against Alexander Volkov, the same man that beat Gane over 5 rounds. Aspinall only needed 3 minutes and 45 seconds to dispatch him, securing a straight arm lock that he had been chasing throughout the first round and securing a submission win. Aspinall's future in the division is very exciting. He is definitely one of the best British prospects in a while, and his and Gane's well-roundedness might be a sign of things to come for the future of the heavyweight division.
So Mr. Tai Tuivasa, next time we come to the UK, next time we're in the UK, let's do it, bro. I'm ready for you.
He called out Tai Tuivasa after his recent win, and that would undoubtedly be a great matchup. And speaking of the Aussie, he has made a resurgence of his own recently, going on a 5-fight win streak and defeating the likes of Augusto Sakai and Derek Lewis to claim the number 3 spot in the division. Now we know that he is not really a prospect since he has been around for a while, but there are talks of him fighting Stipe Miocic, and that is definitely some fresh blood at the very top of the heavyweight ladder. Tai has never been in this position before, and his new mentality after his 3-fight losing streak has earned him these big opportunities. The fan-friendly heavy hitter might not seem like the most technical of fighters, but his stand-up game is something to fear for every other heavyweight in the division. Another huge addition to the heavyweight division is the possible return of light heavyweight GOAT Jon Jones. His move up to heavyweight has been anticipated for a very long time, and he is going to get up into that top echelon of the heavyweights straight away. He might face someone like Stipe Miocic, or jump straight into a title fight with champion Francis Ngannou. 2 fighters that are not ranked yet, but us at Athlete Central think can really contribute to the resurgence of this heavyweight division, have actually faced each other. It's sad to see top prospects come up against each other when they are not even ranked yet, but hey, it is what it is. If you didn't figure it out by now, we are talking about Juan Aspinall and Alexander Romanov. Let's start off with the loser of that fight, Juan Aspinall. The Spaniard is a submission wizard, and his ground game is absolutely impeccable. He won the Ultimate Fighter in 2018, but has not been very active since then, only competing 3 times in the octagon. He got 2 submission victories and then lost a technical split decision to Romanov. We believe that he definitely has the potential to beat a lot of the currently ranked heavyweights. Alexander Romanov has a record of 15-0, and he isn't as much of a submission threat as Aspinall, but his wrestling is definitely superior. He smothers his opponents and is a huge threat to the current heavyweight roster. He has won the rest of his 3 UFC fights on the ground, securing an arm triangle choke, a very rare forearm choke that put Marcos Rogerio de Lima to sleep, and most recently TKO'd Jared Vanderaa with ground and pound in the second round. It is definitely more exciting times at heavyweight these days, and the new generation of fighters are slowly taking over and beating the old guard that had been making the division stale for a few years. So things up. And that wraps up today's video on the resurgence of the UFC's heavyweight division. Make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more videos like this one. Let us know what videos you'd like to see next in the comments below, and until next time, stay safe.